All right, we're up for our next video on how to construct our picture frames. Our previous step was we had our chunk of wood or our stock and we planed it down to 3/4 of an inch. I chose a cherry wood stock. It is planed down to 3/4 of an inch. It has a really nice pretty grain. So our next step now is to use a table saw to rip this piece of wood into 1.5 inch strips. Okay, if you remember, ripping wood is going with the grain, cross-cutting wood is going against the grain, okay, going this way. We're gonna be ripping the long way to 1.5 inches, okay? Before we do that, we always have to have safety in mind. As you can see, I have a long sleeve shirt on, so I'm gonna roll up my sleeves. I have my safety glasses on. I have some jewelry on. For the purpose of this video, I'm going to leave my watch on because I'm going to need it to stop the video. But I'm going to take my ring off, okay? I don't wear any necklaces or anything like that, so I don't have to worry about that. I do not have long, luscious hair, so I don't need to tie it up, but if I did, I would need to tie my hair up. You can't see, but I have full jeans on, and I also have closed-toed shoes on. You just have to take my word for it, okay? Next thing, we need to get our area set up. So we're here at the table saw. Right before I started this video, the miter sled was on the table, okay? So I ended up taking the miter sled off, and for the video, I'm gonna put it down over here. The next thing we need to do is we need to adjust our blade height, okay? I purposely raised this blade up so it's very high. We don't want it to be high. If you remember, if you recall from earlier trainings, the blade should be about 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch over the stock of our wood, okay? So if you can't really see using the camera here, but this blade is about that much high over our stock. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unlock this and I'm going to lower my saw blade so it's about 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch over my stock. And then I'm going to turn the knob and lock it back in place. Okay? Now that is done, we are ready to move my stock out of the way because remember, we never want our stock touching the blade when we turn the saw on. That can cause damage, you can get injured. So we will be putting the stock on once the blade is actually going. But we are going to need to move our fence or our guide here. So we're gonna move it to 1.5 inches. So I'm gonna tap it into place. I'm gonna push the red handle down. That locks this in place. We're now gonna be cutting 1.5 inch strips, okay? My piece of wood here is, let me measure it, about 7 inches wide. So we're gonna be cutting this 4 times. And on our 4th time, we're gonna be getting kind of close to the blade. So we might want to make sure we use our push stick. So I'm also gonna put my push stick over here so it's right in my line of view where I can grab it when I need it and I can do it to properly and safely cut my wood, okay? So from here, we're gonna start ripping our wood. Again, I have it set at 1.5 inches. I'm going to turn my saw on and then I'm going to put my wood here and I'm gonna feed it into the saw, okay? Normally I would have a partner on my other side that would take the pieces that are cut and move them over. And for this video, they might just fall to the ground, but you guys would have a partner or Mr. Singer or myself will be there to help you. Okay, so to turn the machine on, remember there's that red stop button, you're going to pull that out. Once it's pulled out, you want to make sure your wood remains flush to the fence, okay? So I'm going to now push into the wood. There's my first cut, I'm going to bring it back. Make my second cut. My third cut. And finally, now I'm going to make my 4th cut. This is where I might want to use my push stick. Okay. Remember my push stick, the 90 degree little corner goes on the end of my wood, and I'm pushing down and forward with it. This keeps my fingers safely away from the blade. And I'm going to push that all the way through. Once it's cut, I remove everything. I'm going to turn off the saw. You're going to want to make sure you wait for the saw blade to fully stop. We can loosen our guide and our fence and we can remove our wood. Now I have 4 1.5-inch strips that we're going to be able to take over to the router table out of the back. Okay, if you have any questions or if you need anything clarified, if you want Mr. Singer and I to help you, show you a live in-person example, please come find us and we will be glad to do that.